Hello, world. Yes, world. It's a big place, and this cult of a podcast, Werewolf the Podcast, is worldwide, and I am your host, Will. We are currently engaged in some fantastical fun with fairy folk and meeting new characters left, right, and the other one, is it centre? I don't know. Who will become much more important in the future and shit. I am currently in London doing shit. I was out vandalising ULEZ cameras last night. What are those, you ask? It's cameras that are there for the ultra low emission zones. Yes, London has done something amazing. If you're now poor and can only afford a shit car, you have to pay extra tax each day of £12.50. If you're rich like me, then you can just pay for it and not give a fuck about the environment. Here's £12.50. Let me kill people, or whatever, the bunnies or whatever. I mean, the money must be paying for like filters or something to remove the dirty pollution from the air, must they not? I've not heard about those though, have you? I've not seen any news stories with how they're going to put that money into filtering the air. Why else would they charge for it? I don't know. Brilliant work from the government once more to rape the poor and give to the rich, who will now have more open roads to get to their work and play. I mean, fucking well done. They got it through against all the scientific advice too. Brilliant. Thanks for sharing and caring for this niche, no-sense, nonsensical podcast, as it can be a little daring when people realise that it is that thing that you're sharing. Some episodes are difficult to stomach or even rationalise. The main thing is that we get it. Whatever that is that we get. We few, we happy few, we band of nutters, to quote some bloke who was a great writer in the past. There are loads of ways to get involved in the social world of the podcast in the description. Yeah, it's just that bit of writing down below. You can meet like-minded folk on various platforms, which is fucking terrifying if you think about it. We're getting you all together in the cult. The idea of social network platforms and like-minded folk is either great or terrifying, I don't know. I love to hear from you and the things that you do. I send my love to Chris Zakowski, who sent a few hand-picked episodes to his school counsellor as an aid to her to show how his mind works. I've not heard anything from him since, though. So it obviously went well. Back to the story. I met some victims, through the wonderful diversity of dating apps that are out there. They are brilliant for singles and cheaters looking for love or just to bang. And werewolves, it's good for because it helps you find lunch. Sometimes technology can be a burden to my life, as you can imagine. CCTV is fucking everywhere, and every cunt has a mobile phone with 50 billion pixel cameras built in now. Having said that, some things like dating apps are great. You probably know about the usuals like Tinder and Bumble and Hinge. These are often the best places to find your mostly heterosexual low self-esteem girls, or in the case of Tinder, you get a diverse range of ladies from the 2 messages and a shag special to the ones you need to do some work for. I don't mind doing the work if the payoff is worth it. Seducing someone by text is often fun. Manipulating at a distance it's great. Bumble is for women who are looking often for more, older and often hurt by the world and looking for long-term love. Hinge is a bit the same, but the women seem to think that it's a bit posh, while I think that the women on that seem to have less class and are often crass and impressed by wealth and what car you drive. And hey, have I just described a female version of me? You then get the other apps. Oh, and they are fun. Grindr, of course, is excellent. Instant dinner specials. Grindr is the one if you don't have much time and don't want to apply much effort. Honestly, it even gives you a map with your closest victim. I love the fact that gay men just want to bang. Dinner and drinks? Nah. Dirty, filthy sex then. Goodbye. Sadly, a lot of the men on there are also trying to hide the fact that they are on there and enjoying a diet of cocks. It means they just disappear so easily, and as no one knows where they are going or what they're doing, always have a date buddy, people. Someone you can tell you're going for a fuck and to rescue that, if that fuck is a psycho, well, hopefully you can be rescued. You book them on the Grindr app, the taxi delivers, and there you are. You have them brought straight to you. Well, I suppose they're not brought straight to you, are they? Then there are things for the more sexually diverse person. Field, F-E-E-L-D, is a particular favourite of mine. Field is for those interested in ethical non-monogamy, polyamory, casual sex, kink, swinging, and other alternative relation models and sexual preferences. These tend to be the people who are openly whatever they are. I'm not a judge of anyone's relationships. I'm shocked that anyone would actually want to have a relationship at all with all those tasty morsels out there. And lastly, for me, FetLife. Just FetLife. If you're into it sexually, you can find someone who'll want to do it with you on this wonderful site. Check it out. I love it. FetLife. These apps are based mainly on how good looking you are too. So objective, who wants to speak to someone with an interesting life or personality? Of all the qualities we should choose our partners on, it should be entirely based on how attractive we are and on filtered and specially chosen pictures. This paucity of people's choices made these apps so easy, especially for an arrogant 11 out of 10 like me. I would be contacted each week by the next batch of suitable, suicidal, hopeful candidates and would pursue them with a very different purpose than the purpose for which the apps were designed. I would choose my victims for, any particular reason I decided is appropriate. It may be a picture of them smiling. It may be that vegan comment in their profile. It may just because they're called Tracy. Sorry. At this point, I must warn you, Tracy is, for some reason, a be-killed name. I don't know why, but it triggers me. Triggers me, I tell you, deeply. I should really work that one out with a bit of therapy or something, maybe. After making my menu choices, I would meet them in a public place and woo them, all the while knowing that the outcome of this first and typically last date was likely not so great for those I chose. I particularly enjoy the liars, not out of any sense of justice that I would hurt them for their lying, but because they thought they could get away with it. You know, the people whose picture was out of date by fucking 15 years or filtered to fuck. Nothing is more frustrating than someone false advertising on Tinder. They should provide an unfiltered and unmade-up picture as a reality bite. I also enjoyed the cheaters on these things getting laid behind the backs of their beloved partners, etc. Specially chosen photos that made certain angles so friends or loved ones should not recognise them. These meetings are always a surprise for my victims, but sometimes, and I'll give you an example, the outcome of these meetings can be, a little surprising for me. I once had a meet and greet and eat planned with a lovely young vegan called Janice. A lovely young vegan called Janice. Sorry. I think we had been sort of chatting on Bumble and took it to WhatsApp and then, to go out on a date. This date was particularly shocking for me. I'm used to people not quite looking like the pictures that they have on their profile, but this was another step beyond that. I was minding my own business and waiting for the beautiful Janice to arrive, but was stunned when a large fat bald guy sat across from me at a table and introduced himself as Janice. I had to pick my jaw up from where it had landed on the table. Fen didn't do anything but gently scratch behind his ear with a back leg. We were confused. My mind went into overdrive to try and process what the fuck had just happened. This guy sat across from me with his elbows on the table, his fingers steepled together in front of him. He also had a mad, nervous twitch going on into overdrive in his right eye. For the longest time, I just sat looking at him in silence. I flitted through emotions quickly. Amusement, hate, sadness, and anger. I was an emotional time bomb waiting for the rage on this fool. Then I just got interested. What the fuck is going on? I asked him as I played with a packet of sugar that come with me coffee. I couldn't make eye contact with him. If I caught his eye, I would freak out and, well, kill everyone in Costas. My name is Janice, he said, and offered me his hand to shake, which I did for some reason. He then went into great detail about how he was a man trapped in a woman's body, or a woman trapped in a man's body, or something, and the only part of his profile that was not real was his sex and his pictures. I sat there nodding. I sat there not knowing how to react. Mainly I just sat there. I was in so much conflict, I couldn't bring myself to do anything but listen to the vacuous crap he was vomiting. Fen, my posit, my wolf soul, just sat there next to the table staring at this creature. I could sense Fen's mind was blown and he was inactive due to this information overload. A quiet posit is a dangerous posit. When a 2,000-year-old wolf soul goes silent, you know things have turned, well, fucking weird. If a wolf soul goes quiet, I mean, they're fucking weird anyway. Janice then took it further and told me that he would look like Janice if he were a girl. He would do yoga like Janice, and he would be 24-year-old and look like a fitness model like fucking Janice, not like a 50-year-old potato. This was very strange coming out of that gob with its nicotine yellow teeth, sallow skin and smell of mushrooms. You know, that fungal smell that some men get when they're a bit lackluster with their personal hygiene? Concentrating on what he was saying was a little difficult as I looked at his bad prison tattoos. Do you get good prison tattoos? I don't know. Can you see why I was a little stunned? You might have gathered that this fat bald guy in his 50s was not fucking Janice. After thinking for a while, I swallowed and needed to know where this was going. I told him I admired his bravery and asked what he wanted from this date. He said he wanted to be treated like the beautiful woman he was inside. So, I thought, fuck it, I'm here. It's an interesting experience, so why not? I know I'm usually a complete prick, but this time I thought, fuck it, I could do this. So I did. I flirted and held his large, sweaty, disgusting hand. I looked into those puffy yellow eyes and told him how they stood out and how they were the highlight of his face and all that kind of shit. He, she, whatever loved it. He was coy and feminine. I gave this man some joy that day. The waitress was moved by the way the romantic gay couple were interacting at the table. I did enjoy it, I have to say, but then I'd just had enough after a while. It stopped being fun. So I said my goodbyes and that I had to leave. I'd done a kind thing, hadn't I? I'd done a fucking kind thing. I'd helped someone who needed it. So I tried to leave feeling that I was, not such a shitbag. I now had had enough of the Janice, So I made my apologies and tried to get the fuck out of there. But oh no, he said that he wanted me to, escort me out to the car park. So I couldn't think of any excuse, and I thought telling him to fuck off at this stage could be a bit much. So we walked out together, and he tried to continue the conversation as we walked. At the car, this hulk of a man asked me if he could come home with me. I wondered why. He said he wanted to be held, to be made to feel safe, to feel the love and what it's like to be a woman. So I treated him like 90% of the women I hook up with. I took him back to mine and I ate him, to be honest. I mean, that rich, marbled, fatty flesh was gorgeous. Why am I telling you this as part of a story about Sally and the Nixies? Well, you should realise now that I do tend to go off on tangents at the best of times, but I thought you might like that story. It happened about a week after the Nixie incident, and shit was going on behind the scenes with me and Sally. Sometimes I just had to go out and ruin someone's life. It's kind of my hobby. Some play golf, some do heroin, all those things that ruin life, and I tend to murder them after doing so. I think that is often the nicest thing to do after being a cruel cunt to them. I've been chatting with a young woman on Hinge for a few days. She was beautiful and interesting, a strange combination, so I thought I would go and distract myself. I know what you're thinking. How could you do that to Sally? In response, I have to reply, if you've listened to any of these episodes, do you really have to actually ask such a stupid question? I'm capable of almost anything. The woman was a Londoner born and bred, dark skin, Northern African in descent, I think, and profoundly beautiful. I'd found out that she was a police person and that she loved her job. Oh dear. She also had a thing for books, architecture, and strangely crochet. But hey, we've all got our issues. I would meet her in a local coffee place on the first date where we, would build simple rapport and trust over an overly expensive coffee. She'd got me even more interested at this point because she wanted to meet me somewhere renowned for its quality of Italian coffee. As you know, I'm an elitist. As you can probably tell, that means something to me. It showed me that she had either a true aesthetic sense or was, like me, an obtuse elitist, either of which I would find truly absorbing. Bar Italia is on Frith Street and has been around since 1949 and well, let's pick 5 favourite superlatives and place them randomly in a paragraph about an old-fashioned coffee spot. Can you do that for me? Because I can't be asked saying it. I'd got Malcolm to do his due diligence about her and nothing came up as a red flag. He does all that funny, hacker, stylish shit that you see in the films. She was a mild genius academically and had shot up through the ranks in the police force, which she'd always wanted to be in for some reason. Her career was distinguished and she'd done a lot of good for the people that the police do a lot of good for, apparently. Her family were really nice and hard-working and were the usual hard-working immigrants that you found working hard in London. And she had a vast number of siblings who were all successful and stuff. The usual shit. Fern had been sitting outside the bar looking at the world passing by and keeping an eye out for her. He loved and hated London, but he was a people watcher when he wasn't, part of people eating. I'd dressed casually cool, crisp white t-shirt, bell staff, legacy black leather jacket, blue 511s and a pair of black Vans. I know Vans are not my usual style, but I thought that'd change things up a little. I sat thinking smugly as only I could when Fen noticed her walking up the street. She wore black jeans, a black jacket and a maroon side-pinned hijab, and oh, how she walked. We could tell she was a dancer and a fighter. Muay Thai was her thing and dancing had been her childhood hobby. She got to the door and I returned to my body to see her entrance. She oozed charisma as she sinuated her way through the crowded room, looking left and right for me, and when she saw me she gave me a knockout head kick of a smile and met me at the table. At this point, to be honest, I would have normally been on my feet and the ever-present gentleman, but due to that smile, I forgot. She stood before me, still smiling. She drew back the chair and gave a good look around the room. I'd put her back to the bar, and she'd been slightly uncomfy at that. My back was to the rear wall. She scanned the room only as the well-trained do. interesting. She placed her bag over the chair and turned towards me. Nice to eventually meet you, James. She smiled and leaned in to shake my hand. I mirrored her body language and gave her my hand as I rose slightly from my seat to give her a handshake. She had broken the personal space barrier immediately, and it was from her own volition. Her body language and actions told me she found me attractive and was comfortable with me. Perfect. Do you come here often? We both smirked at the cliche sort of, pick-up line. She got it. That was fantastic. I'm only really saying that to see what you'd recommend off the menu, I asked her. Another minor manipulation to show her that I respected her ideas and had her in a high value status. She smiled for a moment, cocking her head. Ah, shit, she knew this too. The secrets of body language and seduction. She smiled and laughed, sitting back in her chair, her hands on her thighs. I think we can say there's no need for that, James. Let's just be us for this date. I was busted by this beautiful, intelligent woman. Fen was laughing at me. I really hope, James, that you're doing that out of a level of insecurity and a feeling that you find creating intimacy a little difficult. She said it in a slightly sarcastic manner, which was brilliant. Should I pretend I'd no idea of what she was talking about? Nah, Will. You're properly busted. Brash it out, came Fen's voice in my head. Of course, and it's a little lack of confidence at your beauty that caused me to behave like that. I am so sorry. I mean, I wouldn't be trying to manipulate you or anything like that to get you in my bed tonight, would I? I mean, that'd be terrible. And I winked. She paused, giving me no clues as to how she was going to react. It was genius how she shut everything down so that there were no eye cues to her emotions or body language descriptors. It set my teeth slightly on edge for a moment. Ooh, she was bright. I had no idea how she was going to respond. And then she laughed, a peeling laugh. It was beautiful, meeting my face with a fierce naughtiness. Can I at least finish my coffee first? She asked, bursting into laughter. We all laughed, even Fen. I like her, he sent me. Right, change of subject from the uncomfortable to let's get comfy, I said as I looked at the menu. Tell me, what is the average day like for the beautiful Sula Abdi? I asked her, meeting those beautiful brown eyes with a smile. You know what, James? It is James, isn't it? I nodded, a little confused. I think you may be one of the few people in the world who might believe me if I told you, she said as she reached forward and laid an index finger of her right hand on the back of mine. That's the end of the episode, and because you know that Sula Abdi is part of the Supernatural Police Department, don't you? Because you've listened to the other episodes, haven't you? So she's, it's like crazy, innit? Because he doesn't know who she is, and she doesn't. Well, maybe she does know who knows? It's crazy, isn't it? Please go and share and review the podcast, you beautiful people. I love that. That's great. Remember, there's some great literature out there. There's Greg's books that are down in the descriptor and my things and all that kind of stuff. Go look at them, go buy them and enjoy them and do that stuff. And please, the most important thing for you people out there is you have to realize how much I love you. Thank you.
Anielu się daj mi kogoś, kto nie zmąci wody w mym stawie. Kogoś, kto nie pryśnie jak zły sen, gdy ryb w mym stawie zabraknie.